In this video, I want to discuss something called variable scope. If you saw my earlier video about compound assignment operators, then you got a strong taste of variable scope, but I still want to make one video specifically dedicated to it. Variable scope basically says where can a variable be used in a program, where can it be modified, where can it be referenced in a program. You have two basic categories of scope. You have a global scope and a local scope. A global scope is a variable that can be used basically anywhere in the program. It shouldn't be inside any functions or anything else. It should just be out there by itself like that. A local variable, however, is going to be defined within some sort of code block. It doesn't have to be within a function. It can be within some other code block that we haven't discussed yet, like maybe an if-else statement, which again you haven't learned about that yet in these videos, but we'll talk about that in time. But in this example, we have our local variables. We have two of them. One of them is in the function add1, and then a second one is in the function multiply2. What this means is that this variable can only be accessed from inside the add1 function, and this variable can only be accessed from inside the multiply2 function. Let me show you with proof why this is the case. Let's try to take local variable 2 and reference it from inside add1. Let's go ahead and try to add 1 to it and see what we get, which will be an error message, so just give it a minute. There we go. Use of unresolved identifier local variable 2. So you can't use it. And same thing over here, you can't access local variable 1. We'll get a second error message. Just give it a minute to run through the tests. There we go. So yeah, it just will not do. Now, of course, you can access local variables locally. So you can access that and you can access that. No problems there whatsoever. And furthermore, you can access the global variable from either function. So you can do global variable plus 1 and times 2. So there we go, the difference between local and global variables. And also, one more thing I want to point out really quickly. If you have two local variables that are not related to each other at all, you can actually name them the same name. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing this, because when this local variable is stored in memory, it's stored in a unique specific location that is distinct or different than where this variable is stored. So what you couldn't do, you absolutely cannot do this, is declare the same variable twice within the same area. But you can create a second variable in a second scope, in a completely separate scope, with the same name. This is fine. This is completely fine, because you can't even reference this variable from this function anyways, and vice versa, you can't reference this variable from this function. And so that does it for my video on scope. I hope that this little bit of information was helpful, and I will see you in the next video.